One-handed phones usually come with compromises, but Xiaomi said nope, here's amazing camera system, near 5K battery, and really just about everything is a beast. Today we're reviewing the Xiaomi 14 and let's see if this could be your next phone. Selamat pagi, good morning everyone, Kenneth here. Finally, I am doing a Xiaomi phone review after so many years of using their phones. Thanks to my kind friend who let me use it for a full 2 weeks now. Today I'm going to focus on the most important things you need to know, so hopefully the video will be short and sweet. As always, what you're getting is my own honest opinion. My full disclosure is in the description below. Also, you can find my affiliate link there, which I really appreciate if you click before buying anything, since I might get a small commission at no extra cost to you. So thank you so much for your support, and let's get started with what's inside the box. So typical Xiaomi, you get everything from the brand new matte black case, a touch screen protector, and this time around a 90-watt charging brick with the exact same dimension as their previous 67-watt chargers. And as if this is not good enough, it now charges USB PD devices at 65 watts from just 45 before. This means it's more viable to be the one charger you bring for your travels. Just my only gripe is still the USB-A port they use, and believe me, I won't stop complaining until it's gone. While we're here, let's touch on the charging experience real quick, because this supports 50 watts wireless charging and 90 watts wired charging. And here, it posted similar results to the Infinix Note 40 Pro Plus I just reviewed. In my test, a 10-minute charge will give you 40% back, and your phone will be fully charged in a touch over 30 minutes. I think this is the perfect balance between speed and portability. Just with Xiaomi or Poco charging is they tend to get hot above 43 degrees Celsius. The general rule of thumb is it's always best to keep the temperatures in check. That's why sometimes I cool it down when charging, or if you don't need super fast charging, you can always turn boost mode off and charge 10 to 20 minutes longer. This is actually the default setting with the Xiaomi 14, and you either have to dig through the settings to turn on boost mode or rely on notifications pop up when you charge below a set amount to percentage. To be honest with you, I much prefer the Infinix way of doing things. Just when you plug it in, the pop-up will just immediately give you all the 3 options. But yeah, let's talk about the good things now, which is firstly the display. This is my first time having an LTPO screen, which means it has true variable refresh rate from 1 Hz all the way up to 120 Hz. So when you scroll, for example, it doesn't have to switch instantly to 120 Hz, but it gradually increases and decreases. When you're not touching it, the rate goes down to 10 Hz, and after 40 seconds around that, it lowers to 1 Hz to save battery. This is the case for always on display as well, which is one of the main reasons why this phone could last as long as the bigger brothers. It could last a day no problem, which is quite amazing to see from a phone this size. Also here, I realized that while watching my anime, the screen does go down to 25 Hz, matching the 25p content, which is actually pretty cool. Furthermore, it's got all the latest tech from 2024. From 1.5K resolution that Xiaomi claims to have similar detail to 2K, but sips power like Full HD. It also goes up to 3000 nits on HDR, which is crazy for Netflix. It's color calibrated from the factory, and most importantly, under bright sunlight, it's been very solid without overheating and dimming too soon. Maybe one thing I wanted to share is DC dimming that actually changes gray color to slightly reddish. Is this a thing? Let me know your experience down in the comments below. Personally, I have no problem with the normal dimming, so I kept it off. And speaking of dim, there's actually no extra dim feature that I've seen in a few other Androids. So that's a shame, as the lowest brightness is way too bright at night. I need to use third-party apps like Darker to manage that. It's just Xiaomi Poco problems in general, so nothing different here, but let me know how you read late at night. Now let's talk about performance, which is another beastly feature of the Xiaomi 14. Powered by Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, this chip is so good that you can kiss goodbye to overheating, because even Honkai Star Rail maxed out at very high 60 FPS doesn't seem to push the phone. I mean, on fighting scenes and map exploration, it takes up to half an hour for the phone to warm up from 33 to 43 degrees. I think thanks to the new vapor chamber design that has separator inside, which dissipates heat more efficiently, and really the hottest temperature I've seen it go is 43.8, and that's after fighting the boss in Swarm Disaster. In most other fights, it actually cools down to 42 degrees, and throughout an hour of gameplay, the frame rate always hover around 50 to 60 FPS, which feels very smooth, and this is at 28 degrees ambient. So if you turn on AC, the temperatures could get as low as 40 or below actually. And I'm saying this like it's nothing, but honestly, this is mind-blowing since just a few years back, running the same setting or even less could immediately set the phone on fire. Literally, you see 47 degrees or above in the first 10 minutes of gameplay, and the frame of the phone literally hurts your fingers. It's a remarkable achievement, but you know that you'll be using your battery quite a bit, around 20% per hour on maxed out star rail. So you get what you paid for here. For other games such as COD Warzone, I think we're finally pushing the phone near its limit with the high 60 FPS setting. The phone rises up to 44 degrees and stays there, which is nothing we've seen before, although the frame rate is still around 50 to 60 FPS, which gives a good gaming experience still. And just to touch on Mobile Legends a little bit, the phone handles the maxed out setting, playing at 120 FPS ultra without a hitch. Just one thing I found quite cool is the screen that behaves like G-Sync or FreeSync we see on computer monitors. It syncs the refresh rate to the frame rate, but I mean, it doesn't have to since there's no screen tearing in mobile phones. I've never seen that kind of stuff. But still, gotta love LTPO displays, because let's say I'm playing at 24 or 30 FPS, the screen only needs to refresh at half the refresh rate that it's supposed to. For day-to-day use, of course, everything flies here too. But I feel like talking about Xiaomi HyperOS now is more fitting. So firstly, Xiaomi promises 4 years of major Android updates with the 5th year of security updates. Not as long as Samsung or Google, but I think it's still quite a realistic approach for something under $1,000. And my opinion about HyperOS in general is it has more fluid animations, and it also promises better performance down the line, which is something we have to get back in a few years' time. Aside from that, you know, it's just the usual MIUI with the usual downsides, such as the setup that forces you to download sponsored apps. Some annoying notifications from themes and get apps are here to stay. You just need to do a one-time process of disabling the notifications as well as turning off anything suspicious in the security app, also deleting whatever extra apps pre-installed, and you should be fine. The only thing I need to bring up, especially when I review audio stuff all the time, is that Xiaomi has this system-wide Dolby Atmos implementation that also applies to headphones. Doesn't matter if it's wired or wireless, it will affect the sound quality, and toggling the switch in Control Center doesn't actually turn it off completely, but it switches from Dolby Atmos to Xiaomi Sound, which still has that processing. Only until you go to the setting and then you turn off, manually set it to original here, do your earbuds sound like how it's supposed to. I'm really against these kind of audio processing in general, unless of course you need the EQ, which is pretty nice. You have this feature here. But still, when I already spent so much effort on finding the right earbuds for me, it's just sometimes I completely forget about this thing, that I always wonder why these earbuds that I'm testing sound different on Xiaomi or Poco phones. And you're probably asking, why don't I just kept it off? Well, it's because the phone speaker sound much better with the Dolby Atmos setting on, and I especially like how immersive sound toggle here makes it sound bigger than it is. But let's hear how it sounds now, and you be the judge whether it's worth keeping or not. Alright, let's talk about the juiciest part now, which is the camera system, and in one word, it's fantastic. fantastic. Sure, this doesn't have the variable aperture of the 14 Pro or the 1-inch sensor of the 14 Ultra, but it's still one heck of a camera with very nice color rendering and HDR processing that mimics the look of traditional cameras. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Here I took a mix of Leica vibrant and authentic styles, and all of them are good. The vibrant makes colors pop, while authentic captures it closer to real life, which isn't as appealing but is better if you want to edit later. But the first thing that blew my mind is the depth of field. I tried to take a close-up photo of Moondrop Golden Ages, and you can see even the edge of the case is already so blurry. So for product photos or even portrait, I have to put the subject a bit farther away, which honestly still looks amazing. I could make thumbnails out of these shots, and just look at the bokeh, especially on these beautiful round lights. These are natural optical bokeh, and the portrait mode is always there if you want even more background separation, which has pretty great edge detection. Although let's be honest, you probably don't need it, right? Moving on to darker setting, shadow details are retained and bright highlights from light sources are well presented, showcasing the wide dynamic range this thing is capable of. And the night mode does perform quite well without introducing much noise or losing detail either. And speaking of zooming range, we have 2x, 3.2x with the tele lens. And I like how the colors are consistent even from ultra wide, which is usually the weakest link, all the way to tele. And it's a bit crazy to see how all of them are 50 megapixel sensors with OIS on main and tele lens. So far I've been trying out all the zoom choices and haven't seen any particular problem that stands out, which is a compliment because you truly have the freedom without having to worry about colors and details. Maybe if I have to nitpick is the lag when switching between different zoom modes are a bit noticeable, but again, it's just me finding problems when there are no problems. Now, if the back camera is amazing, actually it doesn't mean that the front camera is, because oh my goodness, this is still the Xiaomi I know. Skin tones are back with a pale and smoothened up look, and even though all the beauty effects are turned off, it doesn't make any difference. And videos look the same as well. I think I know why you don't even have the option to use the Leica watermark on the front camera, but man, what a difference. Let's check out the video samples and we'll talk right after. Right, this is a test video of the front camera. What do you think of the video quality? And let's switch over to the Galaxy S24 Ultra right now. Gato. Okay, so here we are back in the shade with the back camera now, so you can see the difference in quality now that I am much separated from the background that's a little bit blurry. Let's walk a little bit here and test out the stabilization. I'm just hand holding it right now, and this is me under the sun. So what do you think of the video quality? Let me know down in the comments below, and let's get back to the studio right now. So the phone supports Dolby Vision for video just like iPhones, but if you don't like the HDR look, then recording SDR videos is actually preferable. And here I think the video sample should give you a good idea of what to expect. Generally good on the back camera, but not so much for the front camera. The stabilization is great too, and I personally like how I can switch between ultra wide, main and tele lens during the recording, which is something I cannot do with my iPhone. Just a few things about using this for content production. Yes, it does support log capture at 4K 24 or 30p. Yes, it could even do 8K 24p, but the file size is going to be humongous. But let me tell you, the Pro mode isn't really the best interface when it comes to getting the right exposure. Even the audio only limits itself to internal mics, so I'd rather use third-party apps like Filmic or ProTake, but technically this is still very usable to start producing content with. I mean, the quality, Finally, let's talk about the things I haven't mentioned yet, like the build quality. It looks minimal but sophisticated. I like how the camera is this one big block and all the lenses are placed in symmetry as well. The metal sides and the frosted glass back is also a premium feeling combo. Even the sides are curved here so they don't cut into your hand. And if you prefer other colors, they are also available in the white and green color. The camera bump here is quite prominent though. Even the included case doesn't make make it completely flat. But since it's so big, actually when laid on a table, it doesn't wobble, which is good. And of course, the phone is IP68 waterproof, which can withstand submersion into water 1.5 meter deep up to 30 minutes, so nothing crazy like the iPhones that can go 8 meters. And it's got 12 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, or in some other markets, you might even get half a terabyte option. And it's UFS 4, so around 850 megabyte per second write, 700 megabyte per second read. It's the fast kind of storage with USB-C port to match, which almost fully utilizes the speed of the storage itself. And not to forget, it's also one of the few phones that supports Wi-Fi 7 and it still has IR blaster as well. Last point, but probably my favorite improvement here is the vibration motor that's so quick it now gives you feedback for each notification going away when you tap clear up. I know this is a quick barrage of specs read, but it's these little things that makes a flagship feel like one. So it's good to see them here. And for bragging rights, yes, this has almost 1.9 million score on Antutu, as well as 6,300 multi-core score in Geekbench 6. Sadly, Xiaomi straight up blocked 3D Mark to run though, so we cannot see the results there for the graphics. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up my review. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you want to watch more, I recommend my Poco X6 Pro review, which is still a gaming beast for half the price, and I'll let YouTube recommend you the second one. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kenneth, and I'll see you in the next one.